Okay, so now we're going to look at how our attitudes form and our assumptions about things. So we talked about previously about schemas, which are mental models of things, and heuristics, how your brain is designed to quickly make snap judgments and decisions for efficiency reasons, because we have to make so many decisions within a day. But we're going to see that sometimes our attitude and our actions do not sync. They're not in sync with each other. And this is really illustrated in a 1934 research traveling trip by Richard LePierre. So what Pierre does is he goes around the United States, and he understands that there's a lot of anti-Asian sentiment, especially in the 1930s and the West Coast of the United States. And you could see this, unfortunately, in a lot of cartoons and prejudiced media at the time. And what he finds out is he goes around with this Asian couple to see what happens. And he goes around and he sees that only one time were they actually mistreated by people publicly. And that was interesting to him. So what he did in the end is he called around to all these hotels and places that they had stayed to find out what was going on and how they would treat Asian Americans. And when they asked the hotels themselves would say, "Oh, no, we won't serve Asians. We'll discriminate right against them." But what he found out, the actual evidence was their actions did not correlate or did not parallel their perspective and their point of view. So their attitude was they don't like Asian Americans. However, only one out of all these groups actually discriminated against the Asian Americans. But when you asked them over the phone and they weren't faced with Asian Americans, they said they absolutely wouldn't serve them. And he found out that wasn't true. So this raises big questions about does human attitude and our behavior, does it contradict each other sometimes? Just because we say something or believe something doesn't mean that we're actually acting on it. And we're going to go into some concepts about this and try to look a little bit further into this. So the concept we're going to talk about right now is Leon Fessinger's cognitive dissonance theory. He suggests that we have an inner drive to hold all attitudes, beliefs, and behavior in harmony. So he thinks that you are trying to just see patterns and understand the world very logically, and you have your own worldview, and that is it. And we're going to do everything we can to keep our attitudes, our beliefs, and behavior in harmony, and there's some kind of balance and peace. You can see this, maybe people don't like conflict. This idea that people don't want to challenge each other. They don't like the idea of that I'm going to bring my point of view, and then if your point of view is different, people argue. I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, people say, especially among adults, don't talk politics or religion because there's nothing good that's going to come out of it, kind of thing. Meaning people are from different religions and they can't discuss their different points of view because it's going to end up in some kind of argument or conflict if you're a different religion. And don't talk politics either, because if somebody is a Republican and another person's a Democrat, there's no way they can hold these conversations with anything productive or positive coming out of it. Well, what he sees with his experiments, and we'll look at the experiments in class, is that he creates that what people do is they experience what's called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. This produces a feeling of discomfort, leading to alterations of one's attitudes or beliefs or behaviors to reduce the discomfort and restore your balance, etc. So what he sees is that if you have two things that are contradicting each other in your mind, okay, that you're going to rationalize and resort to your previous behavior or attitudes. You're going to rationalize why something's happening so you can move on. You don't want to stay in dissonance, which is conflict. You have to get back to some kind of this equilibrium or this balance of your attitude, beliefs, and behaviors. So I'll give you an example. Smoking cigarettes. Okay, somebody smokes cigarettes, and they know cigarettes are bad for them. I mean, they're horrible. They call it lung cancer. Even myself, I've seen my grandmother pass away from lung cancer and emphysema. So they know how horrible cigarettes are. However, there are millions of Americans that continue to smoke cigarettes. So what they're doing under the theory of cognitive dissonance is they're rationalizing it. So they know the cigarettes are bad for them, but they want to smoke the cigarettes. So what they're going to do is they're going to go, yeah, I know it's bad, but I'm going to do it. It makes me feel good. They're going to come up with some kind of reason. They're going to rationalize it, even though these two things conflict. They know it's bad for them, but at the same time, they want to do it. So, and in the end, what's going to happen is they'll just smoke cigarettes and they're not going to think about it. They're not going to, every time they smoke a cigarette, they are not going to experience cognitive dissonance. They're going to maybe experience sometimes, and somebody might say something and remind them, be like, that's really bad for you. That's really going to hurt you. Eating is another thing. People talk about eating candy or sugar or fast food. We know fast food's terrible for us, absolutely horrible for us. Maybe as bad as smoking cigarettes to eat fast food all the time. So, but what people do is they're like, okay, I got to eat. Fast food is bad for me. I know it's got lots of salt and sugar. It's not good for me, but I'm going to rationalize it. I have to get a Jack in the Box or Taco Bell today because, we just got to keep going. And then every day I'm eating fast food, and you stop thinking about how bad it is. You're going to want to stay in this equilibrium, this sense of harmony. If somebody challenges you and they bring a different point of view, that you are not going to want to conflict with them, you're not going to leave your point of view either. So faced with logical information, it's going to cause problems. So you can see the kind of the chart at the top. You have your action and your beliefs are inconsistent, just like we talked about LePierre when he took the trip. These people, they experienced cognitive dissonance, and what they did is they didn't conflict with the Asian Americans. Even though they believe that Asians are bad somehow or they're racist against this group, when they actually came into view and interaction with Asian Americans, they did not follow through for what they said they would. They believed the Asian Americans should not stay at the hotel, but they must have rationalized it or backed down because they didn't want to experience dissonance. They didn't want to have this conflict within them. Because the consequence of dissonance is you could change your belief, you could change your action, you could change your perception, and then you go back to dissonance if you look at the chart. So people are going to experience this conflict, dissonance, and then they're going to rationalize it, and we're going to go back to our previous point of view. So they're going to explain it away, and that's cognitive dissonance. It's very interesting.